You said you had some charts. Why don't you? Do you want to go over?
Oh yeah,
the
let's go to my rock and shot show. We have fun. I show shots.
It's the Governor Andrew Cuomo Rocket Chop Show. We have fun. I show charts.
Red Cow Analytics. I've noticed a few new things that have been going on, and I thought maybe the shareholders would be interested. So in the past 28 days, 38% of our viewership on the normal channel,
the normal channel
with the 500-pound guy who cooks mac and cheese. 38% of that audience was 25 to 34, and 37% was 35 to 44. So, like the vast majority of the audience is 25 to 44. No shock there, probably.
Yeah.
But about equal parts, 20s and 30s, and a little bit of Filettis. 92% male and 8% female. But if you look lifetime at that channel, that is March 1st, 2006, with Lord of the Rings by George Lucas and everything else, to present, 43% is 25 to 34, and 24% is 35 to 44. You get more females that way with lifetime. You get 86% is male and 14% is female. But over on RCA, the channel you might be watching right now, 40% is 25 to 34, and 35 to 44 is 25%. But in the last 28 days, it's very different. The majority, 47% are 35 to 44. So the active viewership, not looking at lifetime, the active viewership skews a little older on the podcast channel.
Boomers like us, they want to hear what the boomers think.
Yeah. I do. I've been getting a lot more like email from people. Like people will stop in and send like a long note. And they tend to go along the line. Either it's like, hey, I lost weight too, or I have a daughter too, or like I share a lot in common with you. There's a lot of like if they stick around, it's probably because there's something that anchors us together. As far as male to female, it's like 98% male on the podcast. Yeah, like women do not listen to the podcast.
That makes sense. I mean, because especially if they're being drawn in by like James Roll fans, I'm guessing they're mostly male or scorned James Roll fans.
Like only a male could be this fascinated by like Cinemaster of Truth type stuff.
Yeah, because it's not like women don't like drama, but I think this specific topic, I think is...
That's interesting. There's drama that's kind of like exclusively male.
Because I would assume that like when the Johnny Depp stuff was happening, because people were doing a bunch of reactions to the Johnny Depp trial, and I would assume that skews more female, but I don't know.
That seems like 35% male, 65% female, something like that.
I think it'll be mostly male still because it's YouTube.
For Johnny Depp?
On YouTube, yes. I think YouTube is like 80% male. It's like
why is that?
Yeah. I think because women go to like Instagram and stuff.
They do love Instagram. Somehow Instagram became the chick platform.
Yeah.
How did that happen? It's an interesting...
Or like TikTok. I don't know what the demographics of TikTok. I think it would be either Instagram or TikTok.
I'm going to look it up. Demographics of TikTok. Awful people.
Awful people.
Let's see. 25% of TikTok's active user accounts in the U.S. are people aged 10 to 19. So a quarter of them are like minors.
Wow.
57% of TikTok users are female. Almost 90% of Saudi Arabian adults use TikTok. The U.S. has the largest TikTok audience, over 135 million. The majority of TikTok creators are 18 to 24. Now, that'd be interesting on YouTube. Like, what's the majority of creators on YouTube?
Okay, no, I was wrong. So it says the statistics for YouTube is 45% are female and 50. It's like 45 to 55. I was just thinking about most of my other content creators. That's what their demographics are.
The audiences segment a lot,
Yeah.
Nina and I overlap a little bit with what we watch, but not much. I wouldn't describe Nina as a basic bitch. And yet she watches people like unbox clothes. Like, what is this? But then she also gets into like, there's this guy like something Grande. He's a therapist or something that does psychoanalysis. They like their crime.
Okay, so in Instagram's demographics, it says 48% are female and 50. So I was wrong. It's actually more male than female.
What? That actually doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Unless this is just people who signed up.
Dwell time, watch time. That's gonna be a theme. So all right, we've been doing the YouTube game for a long time. And the statistics which would suggest that things are changing a little bit for Red Cow. Red Cow Arcade, the podcast, the success of that, or the mild success of that, is probably the biggest difference in our performance in the past 10 years. The Red Cow Arcade channel was originally built as something called RCE Pods and Clips. It was meant to be clips of podcasts from either before or in the future. It was supposed to be a place where people who subscribe for Box Mac, Junk's Cart, that kind of stuff would be unhappy if we uploaded podcast stuff. So that's why we did it. And then when we did the Patreon podcast, it was, that would be a great home for that. And it eventually got rebranded. But we opened this channel in 2018. So I'm going to talk to you about subscribers gained per year. So in our first year, we gained like 400 subscribers, or like fewer than 400 subscribers, because we were just telling people from the main channel, like, hey, if you want more, go subscribe. Then in 2019 and in 2020, we got like a negligible amount. Like basically nobody new subscribed. 2021 happens with the BTS Cinemassacre video, and we gain like 1,500 subscribers. And you got to top over 1,000 in order to monetize and make it a real channel. So it went from being like a surplus kind of bonus, not real channel for us, to being like, oh, I guess this might be a real channel accidentally. Then in 2022, we gained way more subscribers. We gained an additional like 3,500 that year. And then here we are in the middle of 2023, and like we're coming up on the same amount already that we gained last year. But if you look at views, our views are way lower than they were last year. Again, we had negligible numbers of views until 2021. And then last year we were in the millions. And then this year, like we haven't crossed 1 million yet of total views on the channel. We almost reached like 2.5 million last year, and we're not even at 1 million at this time this year. So we're probably not going to get more views than we did last year. But then you go to watch time. In 2021, we had nearly 50,000 watch hours. Then last year, we had like 125,000. And then this year, we're already almost at 150,000. Like, so we've already just this year surpassed last year's watch time by like a substantial margin.
So even though, there's less views, more people are watching lengthwise. The minutes watched is up.
Yeah. So. And guess what? That means like so far in AdSense, we've gained $1,000 more than we did even last year.
So people are sticking around watching our stuff.
So I want everybody out there to know, if you're trying to build a YouTube channel, you care about this sort of stuff, or even if you just find it interesting, watch hours matter not just a little bit more than subs and views, a lot more than subs and views. It's where the money would come from, and it's where the engagement would come from. Those are the people finishing your videos are the ones that would buy your merch. They're the ones who would sign up for your Patreon. They're alpha fans, and you want as many people in your audience to be like that highly engaged. And so then the question is like, well, how come we had so many views last year? And the answer is because we put up these shorts. We had one like about Star Wars, and several of them like almost got to 1 million views, and none of them yielded more subscribers.
And they don't yield ad revenue like at all, really.
Yeah. So they're useless, actually. Like they're not, I mean, are they, could I imagine a scenario where we did a lot to try to drive traffic back to the longer form stuff, and it didn't work.
And I feel like they were like artificially juicing them or something last year. And they're not like, even though like if I open my app, they like show me a bunch of shorts. Yeah, I feel like they were juicing them or something last year. There's something going on.
Ours die on arrival when we post them now. Like, whereas our normal clips are performing pretty well these days for our standards, the shorts don't. And I don't even think that like our subscribers really see them or get them. They don't let us customize the thumbnail, so it's just like our faces, so you don't even really know what it's about. I think they really are made to shove in the face of non-subscribers. I think like shorts are not really for your subscribers. So what you want to do is have videos that are a little longer and are compelling enough that people will make it to the end. And then if you go over to RCE, the normal channel, as I established, that tells an interesting story too. So our first kind of real bump started in 2015. This is going to be subscribers gained by year, where that first year when we got exposed for Box Mac on Reddit, we got like almost 2,000 subscribers just like in a couple months. And then the following year, we had a big subscriber increase, like 3,500 in the following year. And we wouldn't see any subscriber growth nearly that large for the next 6 years.
That's 26. So probably was my Game of Thrones reviews, eh?
Oh, maybe. 2016, we were uploading constantly. And everything we were uploading, I think we did like 150 videos. They all were heavily edited. Like we did Sunday and Tuesday and EJ. Yeah, we were like almost 3 times every week. Yeah, well, we didn't have kids yet.
I know that's the sweet spot. That's the thing is I had a kid at the end of that year.
Yeah. But on average, for the next 6 years, we would grow by 2,000 subscribers every year. So not bad. Then all of a sudden 2023 comes up and we're only halfway through it. And we've already surpassed that big 2016 year in subscribers on the new channel.
So where's that coming from? Is that people from
podcast.
RCA?
Yep.
Yeah, the podcast.
It's the people are coming to they're finding us through the podcast, and then they end up doing a deep dive, and then they become bigger fans. I hear it all the time. It's like, I didn't really know, and then I checked it out, and then now my whole family watches it. I see like every day somebody emails me that, and it's very, very nice. And then if we look at views on that channel, it's been going kind of like this. It was about 250,000 in 2015. In 2022, it got like a little higher. It was up to like 600,000 views across the whole channel. And this year, we've already surpassed 1 million in 2023. So like we're nearing double our past record on that channel, and we're only halfway through the year. So views are way up on that channel, and here's the big thing: uploads are way down. We haven't been uploading to that channel nearly as much as normal.
It doesn't make any it wouldn't make sense because people are always like, you got to like 3 times a week, you got to upload something, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's like, I don't know. Well, we upload like almost every day on RCA.
That's what it is.
That's the feeder system that brings us over to RCE, which already has such a backlog of content.
This is what I always hoped would happen. I never actually counted on it happening.
No.
That like one channel would sort of feed people to another, but it did. And then finally, watch time, same story as the views. Our watch time in 2023 so far on the main channel is dwarfing any previous year.
I mean, I have noticed like more people commenting on my old videos and more engagement on old videos. So.
And then, well, I mean, there's something to be said for like, okay, if you like the podcast, there's many, many years of content. And it's possible that the channel trailers helped. The new channel trailer was like, oh, okay, I was wondering who you were, and now I know. And so now I'm going to go check it out.
I think so. I think just all this constant communication about ourselves has helped.
Well, I know I, for one, like, as I become acquainted with smaller YouTubers, like I'm slow to be like, okay, I don't know if I'm like ready to like watch all your shit, and so I get why people would be slow. So, but the podcast is a really low bar of entry. Like anybody can pop on a podcast while they're working in the background or something. The clip, I personally find podcast clips even more appealing, and I consume them at a higher rate than I would like put on like a full length podcast personally. Because I kind of get bored of like a topic after 15 minutes, and then I want something fresh. I want to know what you're going to talk about too,
Yeah. When you see like a clip of 20 minutes, somebody talking about this thing, it's easier, a way easier decision.
So dig this. I sell DVDs and Blu-rays for our stuff, and they've at various times, like if I was somehow able to go back to 2015, but I don't have the data. But if I went back to 2015, I think that was a big year because we did a big Kickstarter for the Boxmac Volume 1 Blu-ray.
Right.
But the like in 2018, we sold like almost 40 units. We sold a little more than that in 2019, a little more than that in 2020. Then in 2021, interestingly, during COVID, like DVD sales like plummeted. And then we kind of
tightening their belts during COVID.
I guess, yeah.
Running to the store to buy toilet paper. I don't know.
They're like, we need toilet paper now, not Blu-rays. And in 2022, we're back to selling like 55 of them. This year, again, we're only halfway through the year, and we've already sold 80.
Yeah, something's going on, and we're approaching 20,000 subscribers. Not that that means anything, but it's kind of a fun milestone.
Yeah, 20,000 is kind of real, right?
Yeah.
But I don't. Sometimes I'll ponder. I'm like, well, what is it that I'm looking for in all this shit? Because I certainly spend a lot of time editing it and fashioning it and marketing it. And am I trying to just get the most number of people watching as possible? It's like, definitely not, because there's a lot of people I don't want them watching. They're annoying and I don't get along with them. And I don't feel like we connect, But when I get the emails that are like, hey, like in a sea of YouTube, I found you guys and I really connected with you. I'm like, that is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
So I get, in a lot of ways, a long time ago, I feel like we accomplished what we were looking for. And now it's just more people like that, which is great.
I'm just happy that I came up with a scheme where I can talk to you every week.
It is kind of nice. It's like, I was thinking about that with video games the other day. Somebody was like, I was watching a YouTuber and they were reviewing just a few games real quick. And they were like, I kind of got into this game after playing the first level. Maybe I'll stream this sometime so that I can play a little bit more of it. And I just thought it was funny. Like, you can't just carve out your night to play the game sometime. You're like, I'll stream it. Okay. And that'll kind of,
I know. It is like, every time I sit down to play a game, I'm like, how can I turn this into content? It's like, there is like this guilt every time you sit down to relax.
and you could argue that there's a sickness to that, but I think what it means is that you want to, anything that is like extremely passive and otherwise would be a complete waste of time is like, is there any way I can exert a little tiny bit more effort and turn it into something productive? You know, and streaming is like a cool way to do that. I think it's great that a lot of sedentary people who would otherwise be playing a video game in a lonely way are playing it in a social way. That turns it into something a little bit more like art. Maybe not art itself, but maybe a little bit like it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So my final stat for you, and you might find this the most interesting. I saved the best for last, I think. Revenue. What do we make off of all this shit? We started a Patreon in like 2017, maybe around that time. I remember, in fact, there's a video. Maybe I'll dig it up of you saying, "Hey, like if we get to $500 a month, we'll make Junt SNES." Do you remember that?
Yeah, we never did, but we made it before. We were just like impatient. We're like, we're making it anyway.
Hello, Red Cow fans! Introducing some new Patreon goals. First goal is a guaranteed EJ cooks every 2 weeks. A new recipe, experiment, or family recipe in EJ's signature style. Every 2 weeks. Recipes. More food porn. For the next goal, well, you love Junt, you love Super Nintendo, now they'll be together at last, in video, content form. Junt has a massive Super Nintendo collection, and if the goal is met, he can tell you all about it in this new series. That's not all. Frankie and EJ will be doing Patreon exclusive streams every month, and this first one will be tomorrow, Thursday, 9 p.m. We'll be talking about Logan and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and maybe some other things maybe. Not only that, this first stream will be free on the YouTube channel, but after that they'll be exclusive to Patreon supporters. Your support is definitely appreciated and helps us keep doing what we love doing. Premium content every week, forever. Patreon.com/RedCowEntertainment.
So now, like, again, because the podcast is just kind of the perfect, like, enjoy the clips for free. And if you want the full thing, $2 a month. And it works. People sign up. We now have 271 patrons, and we make $767 a month off of Patreon alone. So nice. We certainly got past 500. Yeah, it's not chump change is my point. And on a typical day, I normally see, like for the past few months, I normally see 2 to 3 new people sign up for the Patreon a day, which is like pretty like unusual for us.
Well, yeah, man, the podcast is such a good incentive, you know.
So our revenue consists of Patreon, Google AdSense across 2 channels, and TeePublic. That's essentially everything.
Yeah, TeePublic's nice because we don't really make much money off TeePublic, but you can at least show your support and, you know, be a walking billboard for us. So.
Yeah, on a typical month, I think we make like $6 to $10 a month probably on TeePublic. So it's all Patreon, it's all AdSense. So in 2017, we made like $3,000. In 2018, we made almost $5,000. In 2019, we also made almost $5,000. In 2020, COVID year, we made like $5,500. And then in 2021, we made $7,500 because we started getting more ad revenue from RCA. In 2022, we made like $12,000. And then this year, we're on track to make in the 14 to 15K range, something like that, by the end of the year.
So usually we just buy equipment or we invest in stuff.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we've ever, outside of like lunch when we've gotten together to shoot, I don't think we've ever spent, because it all goes into an LLC, a shared bank account. Me, John, and EJ all have credit card, or, debit cards for the account. And no, we've only ever used it to expend on business stuff because we all have day jobs. So
yeah, like if there's like certain like storage that we need or cameras or if like I make a video about ribs, sometimes I don't want to pay money to buy ribs just for a video,
Right,
because usually nobody even wants to eat them. So it's to make the content possible, usually, and so it's kind of nice.
I was showing Nina, and she was like, you might have to pay taxes quarterly if you keep this up. I was like, oh, God. Like, the taxes start to get worse as time goes on. But yeah, and then you can imagine, like, there were definitely any given week, I'm like, what am I editing? What's my thumbnail? What's my, I'm constantly going. And a lot of people have been like, you should slob it out. Well, first of all, you've seen some of the results in the public, haven't you? And, but second of all, like there's
a journalistic mission to track that stuff down.
Yeah. Send your slob news to Red Cow Arcade. But even if it's $15,000 a year, if the going rate is $50 an hour for somebody to edit, and then you also would have to go through a long process of teaching them how to edit like you. I mean, you can imagine you'd have to make a lot more than what we're making before it makes sense to put anybody on a payroll.
Yeah. But even like if we were making a lot more than that, then it's like, okay, then I can maybe scale back my real job and start editing myself, like,
right. Yeah. There'd have to be a really good reason to slob it out. Slobbing it out. That should have been the podcast name.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.